All right, it's time for the paper review now. Let's go through the headlines on the papers across Nigeria today. We'll be doing the review by ourselves today. Let's start with the Punch newspaper. Now, Obasanjo attacks Buhari again, says he's a failure. Now, you come in because you know there are challenges and then giving us an excuse that you have many challenges. That is why you haven't achieved results. If you watch the video of what he was saying at that time, he said, you came in because there are challenges. Absolutely. That's why you are here in the first place. If there's no challenges, you wouldn't have been here. You know. So, but this is not going to go away anytime soon because there are reactions, and there are going to be reactions continually from Nigerians on this. And then you wonder really if this was the former president's promise of another letter coming in form of a comment, or we are still expecting another letter really on the administration of this government. He couldn't have said it anyway, like you said, that you gave a promise that you want to solve a problem, that you got into power and you were still giving Nigerians excuses about the same problem. They thought you could do it. Well, the point is, when you have the power, APC saying that it's not fair, that you should put issues in perspective. Anyway. Yeah, that's all right. We have joining us Cyril Abaku, senior researcher at TVC, to do justice to this papers this morning. Yeah. Cyril, good morning. I can assume that the traffic was held you back or something. It was bad. But you're here now. Well, you're here. Of course, that is what's important. Think of time. All right, we just started the review now, and Obasanjo attacks Buhari again, says he's a failure. I wonder if you watched the video that went viral of him saying all the things that he said. I said last night. Our reporter in Abeokuta sent it in, Kasim Olowe. Yes. And I watched it firsthand. There was nothing to amend about it. You couldn't say this was a light part and this was why it was it was frontal, ineffective, incompetent. Exactly. You are a failure. And then was telling those that he was addressing, he said, look, you can't take away the fact that if things were better, your businesses would have been better. Exactly. But I think about that. The first lesson he learned in the military, and I'm quoting him, was that you don't reinforce failure. Then he said that you are a failure and you want to go again. Me thinks that there was a mistake Goodluck Jonathan made with Obasanjo. It proved fatal for his presidency, which was the fact that he met him on that tough, pound for pound. I want to state categorically that, I don't know how you call it, but it's ruffle or ruffle ruffle. This ruffle ruffle fight, you can't win Obasanjo in it. And I don't know whether it is providence, whether it is history, whether it is something unseen. We have seen it clearly that every government Obasanjo has come up against. Sometimes I wonder whether he has electoral... let me just come in here. Don't you think Obasanjo's opinion on any government at this time, especially this one, the present administration, is tainted with his alignment to the third force, which could become a political party? So it could be a political statement. Don't you think so? In the last dispensation, he publicly hobnobbed with a political party, and they won. So there's no gainsaying it. In any case, whether it's because of the party or not is secondary. The question is that if Obasanjo wants a government out, obviously where you take one out, you must put one in. There's no nature was vacuum, so it's only a matter of time. When he might perhaps start taking pictures of people that he wants us to vote for, something like that. Well, what I see generally, not everybody is going to like former President Olusegun Obasanjo for whatever reason. Yeah, Nigerians must have their choices and their preferences here and there, but when it comes to understanding the country Nigeria, President Obasanjo is one man who knows this country from left, right, in and out, as the case may be. Well, is it the only man? No, certainly not the only person. Okay. If you want to name names of people who know this, General T.Y. Danjuma is someone who also knows this country. IBB is another person who knows this country. There are so many of them who know this country. And interestingly, all of them are coming out to... All of them are coming out to make statements. This government. You know, so the issue there is, I wouldn't want us to dwell on that too much because there are so many other issues, but let us watch. At the end of the day, it is within the powers of Nigerians to decide whether they want whoever in 2019, as the case may be. Yes, I agree with you, but Mike, we understand that in basic political theory will tell you that the masses by themselves are not capable of rational choices. People must guide them. There is this thing they call two-step flow, three-step flow, whatever flow. There are layers of communication. Mike, as you are, you can convince people to vote.
They may not always understand the issues, but when they see that somebody that they look up to is taking a particular point of view, they want to tilt to. For me, I think that Obasanjo is critical because he can mobilize international support for or against, and then you see, no government really wants a public relations storm at the end of the day. When he continues to be in the news for the bad reasons, me, I think that, you see, as undesirable as things are in Nigeria today, they are not beyond salvation. And getting Obasanjo on the table may just be the first step that you take, so that things can get better. Because for me, it is irrelevant where what my political views are. I have Nigeria at heart. So I think whatever will be good for Nigeria will be good for me as well.
But some don't trust Obasanjo anyways.
But
not every Nigerian trusts
Mike,
you don't even have to trust him.
Mike, quite frankly speaking, it won't pay Buhari's government, and let me be very clear about this, to enter into, I mean, when you say that, it won't pay anybody to get into a fight with him. Whether as the APC, whether as the government, it will not pay anybody to get into a fight. I think the earlier they did something, because in days to come, he's going to be on the headlines. If you watch the video and watch the way he said it, it was very serious.
It was very emphatic.
It was very emphatic.
Very emphatic.
So I think the earlier they
and that alone sends signals.
Serious signals. Look, please, and you need to know, when Obasanjo is talking, he's not just talking for himself as Obasanjo. There are deterministic factors behind his voice.
Absolutely.
So
let's just move on. And interestingly, just a few days ago as well, former military president IBB also spoke about analog leaders, quote unquote, stepping aside for the youth to take over. So we go to the Nation paper now. Major story here is big row over looters list. Lawyers disagree. Ex-minister, ex-governor defend integrity. Many people are talking about, especially those indicted. And of course, it's not just one list we have anymore anyway, or two lists from the government. There is one on the side of the opposition now, not officially anyway. You
know, the headline we've not seen is PDP, APC, exchange looters lists. And for me, I think reducing the discussion to looters list is even funny. That is one. And as a communications professional, that term looters is a deliberate language aimed at, first of all, contextualizing the narrative in a particular dimension. I am worried that after 3 years of being in power, what we are seeing is a list in the first place. And we all know, even those that they came out and said stole this amount of money, stole that amount of money, they have not been able to go to court to prove anything tangible.
Or maybe they are even still in court, dragging for years.
Which clearly tells me that the intent and purpose of government, of this APC government, for me, I think, in a sense, appears to border more on what the media should thrive on, what people should see and jump into a frenzy over, when we know that if you couldn't secure conviction for someone between 2015 and 2018, you can't secure it for anybody from between 2015 and whenever. So I think that I would have been happier if we had a proper scorecard of what we have achieved in the actual fight against corruption, not just on anything. Because I mean, one man's looter is another man's liberator. The same people that people that have been arrested, had been taken to the EFCC, and then later switched parties, became non-looters.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's all just political.
All right. So tributes as Winnie Mandela dies at 81. We'll just run through the stories because of time. Yobe Khan prays for Dapchi girl Leah. Ekiti PDP governorship primaries hold May the 8th. Eagles coach Roa combs Europe for strikers. Obasanjo seeks coalition to take power. In quote, I killed my master wife. Very sad. 20 killed in Brunei suicide attack. You got the details during our news updates. $500 million Abacha loot. Okonjo Iweala to explain withdrawal. And Lagos connects Ogun with 21 roads. 2 bridges. Governor Ambode working there. Kwara communities unite for peace, and Nigeria's foreign reserves hit $46.2 billion. It's growing gradually, but does this translate to
should
better
Nigerians
times
be happy?
for Nigerians?
Should we pop champagne for...
Foreign reserves hitting $46.2 billion.
Well, it's okay.
Does it translate into bread and butter on the table of Nigerians?
Well, what I would say is that, of course, every nation needs these pockets of savings here and there, because, of course, the rainy days will come. So, and we will need to, when we have such emergencies, we need to take.
But when the rainy days came during the last recession, what happened?
Well, theoretically, you need these savings. Okay. you need these savings.
Cyril, I think I like that. Theoretically, that's fine. That's fine. But on the other hand, I think when you have a robust foreign reserve, it gives you guarantee for loans, guarantee for credits from any club or any lender across the world.
As far as investors, and
it doesn't stop you from borrowing more money like Nigeria is doing.
In the ritualistic sense.
Okay.
The National Assembly has rejected the latest application to
just from Kaduna.
Not even the federal government. All right, now let's move to the next one. Daily Sun, federal government under fire over alleged looters list. This to certainly keep going on. And Winnie Mandela, cotton falls on South African apartheid struggle, heroine. We certainly will be talking about that as on the show as we get along. Again, Obasanjo rules out APC, PDP, insists party lacks capacity to rescue Nigeria. And IPOB proposes proposed amnesty to Boko Haram. IPOB, do they still exist?
Well, in a way they do, because I think even some days ago, about a week or two ago, a spokesman for the group issued a statement. But I think that, more importantly, it's not even about IPOB. I think, as it is in Nigeria today, virtually every ethnic group, virtually every geopolitical zone now represents an idea that is directly antithetical to the existence of the Nigerian state. And Mike, quite frankly speaking, I mean, whether it's Boko Haram, whether it is the militants in the Delta, whether it is the OPC in the Southwest, this recourse to some sort of militancy or to some sort of militant agitation for ethnic identity in Nigeria is something that won't be countered by the bullet or by court injunctions. It is something that must be countered by a rigorous and vigorous reinvention of what I will call a progressive pan-Nigerianism. Until we awaken to such a nationalist consciousness in this country, economic nationalism, political nationalism, social nationalism, it is going to be very difficult.
But how do you achieve that if you do not run an all-inclusive government
those are the issues informing the issue of restructuring. Now, when they talk about restructuring, a lot of people seem to not to understand what it is. But these are the questions in the minds of people. When they say restructure, let us come back and renegotiate. Let's come back and talk about this. A lot of people, especially, okay, now, when you're talking about minorities, many of the minorities in Nigeria are not satisfied with a lot of things.
Of course,
because when you say Nigeria is made up of Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, there are so many. There are Benis, there are the Ijaws, there are the Igede, Tiva, and Idoma, and so many other tribes, and so on.
Yes.
And Lupeans, they also want their identities to be known.
They want their identity to be known. And you see, the problems that we're facing today, there is no single problem in Nigeria today that is entirely new. None of them is new.
That's true.
They have been there with us from the word go. And you see, like somebody rightly pointed out, all the conferences we have had from 1950 to 1954 and up until the one we had in 2014, solutions and recommendations are bound.
That nothing new is going to come from anywhere. Just go back there.
If you don't want, if you don't want those, you can look at some of the books that even Obafemi Awolowo wrote. If you take up to 6 or 7 titles, you will find abundant solutions to this issue.
But then you wonder really why successive government has not been able to do anything, pick up some of the recommendations and put them into effect. It makes you wonder really if some people somewhere are benefiting from how Nigeria is structured right now.
You see, there are a few who want to take everything that belongs to the many. So there is a need for us to reorder. And when we talk about restructuring, there is the political side of it, there is the economic side of it. I, for one, I think I take economic restructuring over and above everything else. Let me give an example. People are united based on their stomach. That's the first thing that happens.
Exactly. You need to survive first.
If you pair a Yoruba, a Hausa, the thieving class, the stealing class, the thieves, when they come together, they forget religion and tribe.
Of course.
As far as everybody has a fork to dip into the oven, they will all thief and steal very unitedly. So fine. When we are to form states in this country, there were arguments. Should we create states based on landmass, based on language,
Based on ethnicity?
Ethnicity, based on economic viability.
Or based on regions?
Yes, economic viability was taken to the background, was relegated. But that is the only way you can have functional units. The governors came out and said that they are for restructuring and that they wanted state police. State police in a country where you can't pay salaries to civil servants. For me, I think that we should first talk about how can the states become economically viable. So let's
where resource control is not even like, we need to move on now, Siri, unfortunately, because of time. Let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Major story here is Obasanjo attacks Buhari again, accuses his government of being incompetent, ineffective. This is unfair of Obasanjo. He should put things in perspective. That's APC talking there. Afenifere, Yakasai, Kedife, and Mechi react. Of course, we'll go to, that's the major story, and we already talked about it, so we go to the top of the paper. Security breach. Senate committee indicts EFCC. Next to it, 29 die, 83 injured as troops clash with terrorists in Borno. It's like we're getting gradually back to where we left off from. After we were told that Boko Haram had been defeated, they had fled Sambisa forest, and all was close to nothing. First, the two girls were kidnapped. And now we're hearing this again. You know, I have said it, when that cheating happened, after critically assessing what went on, in my own opinion, I said that was not a kidnap. Chibok looked closer to a kidnap than Dapchi did. Dapchi was just a looting of human beings. And I'm worried because all the other girls came back. The federal government said they negotiated. I don't know if the federal government was aware that one of the girls who didn't denounce her faith in Christ was held back. And if federal government's narrative that they didn't pay any money is anything to go by. So I am asking, why was the kidnap carried out in the first place? I'm not even talking about the security situation now. Were they kidnapped just solely for religious reasons? That for me is a matter of very grave implications. That is one. So we commend her for not going into apostasy, for not for not denouncing her faith. But it raises very fundamental questions. And governments, negotiators, and government people have not come out to say anything tangible. We are hoping that Leah Sharibu is released as soon as possible. That is one. Number two, Azizat, to borrow an analogy from medicine, they say a patient can relapse into a previous. We were not convalescing. There was no recuperation anywhere. The truth is that nobody overcomes terror overnight. True. To say you're going to overcome Boko Haram in 3 months and in 4 months, some of us know better than to believe.
Yeah, but that is the reason why the government or the military shouldn't have told Nigerians what they said. It was too quick to make pronouncements to say we have done this and we have done that.
And so in a country where, to be very frank, in a country where we have shortage of hands, of manpower in our security infrastructure, communities that should have been complementing the work of these security agencies now began to relax. And places like Dapchi and some other places are border towns. I said it on one occasion that, look, some of these places, we should shut down those schools and move them to
All right, so let's just run through the remaining
But we
stories.
are happy.
Why our names shouldn't be on Luther's list. Aliyu Igali Fanikayode speaking. Lagos government commissions 19 roads in Alimosho. How illnesses reduce life expectancy of Nigerians. FG accuses Benin Republic, Cameroon of undermining rice revolution through reduced tariffs. And the senator held hostage by irate constituents freed by soldiers. Oshimbajo shows up Leah Sharibu's return. Safe return. That's about it. Okay,
we'll just run through this and we'll move on to the discussion. This day, newspaper is saying PDP 6 APC's proscription. Luther's list gets knocks. And 29 killed, 83 injured in fresh suicide bomb attacks in Borno State. Again, Obasanjo scores Buhari low, says he's failed Nigerians. An APC to inaugurate committee on Oyegun's tenure extension plan. And Winnie Mandela, anti-apartheid icon, dies at 81. That's this day newspaper night now. All right, so that's the end of the newspaper review.